Talking with the experts.
Discover how to create a meaningful impact that helps your family thrive after you're gone in our episode 534 with Kimberly Harms.
I think the first one is good conflict management. I was a civil mediator, so I really got involved in that. And I talked to a lot of dentists around the country, even around the world, about conflict management in an office. And the first thing to do is to realize that whenever you're in a conflict, if everybody in the office recognizes that when there's a conflict within the office, you need to focus on the issue and not the people. Because as human beings, we're flawed. We're all flawed, right? So as human beings, we tend to get angry at the person. If there's something going on in the office, tend to get angry at the person. Let's not get angry at the person. Let's come together as a team, focus on the problem and solve the problem. That's one of the best things you can learn to do as a team. One thing I recommend too is to have peer mediators within the team. And I'm a big fan of mediation because mediation means that you help bring the two sides together so that they both agree on a solution.
Talking with the experts.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts, where we believe that success is a journey, and every journey is easier with help from friends. That's why we bring you top-notch experts and real business heroes eager to share their lessons from the road to success. We delve into new topics each week: effective marketing strategies, innovative problem-solving, financial planning, and team building. We tackle everything you need to know to grow your business and keep it thriving. Whether you dream about launching your first startup or a business veteran looking to shake things up, we've got you covered. With each episode, you'll gain knowledge, boost your confidence, and be inspired to take action. So, grab a coffee, make yourself comfortable, and join our exciting journey. You're not alone in this. We're here, guiding you, cheering for you, and celebrating each milestone. Let's turn your business dreams into reality, starting today. Here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello, welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is all about business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Today, it's my very great pleasure to introduce you to Kim Harms. And Kim's going to be discussing with us how to prepare an emotional legacy for your loved ones. Now, when you're in business, or even in your personal life, it is really, really important to leave a legacy and leave, some instructions, whether it be in a will or a written document, so that, your family, friends and co-workers and business colleagues know exactly what your wishes are, when your time comes. So, we all know that we're going to die, and, we live in a death-defying culture, as we know. And the result is that most of us are left bereft, disconnected, and confused about the loss of someone we love. And so this episode is going to go into those things. Now, Kim has been around the block several times. I don't think she looks a day over 21, but, I'll let you judge for yourself. She has served as a commissioned officer in the United States Public Health Service, a dental school professor, a grief counsellor, a death doula, a civil mediator, a clinical dentist with her late husband, and president of an international women's organisation, the first women president of the Minnesota Dental Association, an award-winning best-selling author and international speaker. She has also suffered many personal losses. Her most important role is as a mother to her 2 surviving children and a grandmother to 6 precious grandchildren. Wow, 6, that's a lot. Welcome, Kim. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Rose, for having me on.
Let me talk about your grandchildren. 6, that's a lot of grandchildren. How do you cope with it all?
Oh, my goodness. I lost my son, Eric, when he was 19, about 15 years ago. And I thought at that time, when anyone loses a child, you go way down into the grief pit. I mean, you're under there, just maybe a nostril coming up, trying to breathe. It was a very difficult experience. And at that time, he was the one that was going to have kids. My daughter said, oh, we're not having kids, but Eric has to marry someone with childbearing hips, was kind of how we would say it in the family. So I thought at that time I would never have grandchildren. But obviously, my girls each produce 3 children. They compete with each other, they have to be even. And it has been absolutely the most wonderful thing in my life. Before I had these grandchildren, I thought I could never have anybody else in that, circle where I could love them enough, because then I could lose them, and I just can't lose them. I just want to keep them small. But I just have to tell you, grandparenthood is one of the most amazing times of life. We're older. I'm 67. We got, the brain is not totally functioning like it used to. The joints are sore. You can hardly move. But boy, you get those grandchildren and your heart is full of joy. It's just amazing. So I do enjoy all 6 of them. And it is just such a wonderful privilege to be able to build a legacy as a grandmother, because that's one thing grandmothers can do, build that legacy with their grandchildren.
Yeah. The legacy, or having a legacy, comes in a lot of different forms. It's not just a written document or, a recorded video or whatever to know what your wishes, but, explain to us, what other legacies there are. And you mentioned about leaving a legacy for your grandchildren. So, there are, a lot of ways we can do that. Can you explain how we can do that?
Sure. First of all, every interaction you have with every human being builds a legacy. So when you have children or grandchildren, or even if you don't, just working in life, the people that surround you, every interaction you have. And I think some of the most important legacy, of course, you can leave is to love people. That's the most important legacy. My mother was bipolar. She was mentally ill. She took her own life when I was 17, but she left me a legacy of love. I knew she loved me. She was flawed in many ways, but she was the best mother ever, because I knew I was loved. And I think that's the most important legacy you can leave. Other legacies, and in the first part of the book, I go through about 15, are things like education, legacy of peace, legacy of laughter. Learn how to laugh at yourself. That's a huge, I mean, if I can teach each one of my grandchildren just to laugh at themselves, that will be a big accomplishment and a big legacy. So many legacies. Art is a legacy. So many things you can pass down. Think about art. Think about when my son died, the Pietà from, oh gosh, I think it was Da Vinci. I hope I got that right. Maybe Michelangelo, one of those two, because I've got the old brain. Sometimes it doesn't always work. But the Pietà with, Mary accepting the body of Jesus. I mean, that has spoken to me so many times, and it just as it has for 500 years, it's spoken to people. So legacy of art, there's so many things you can do. You don't have to win an Oscar or a Nobel Prize to leave a legacy. It's the little things you do in the lives of the people that you love that leave the legacy. And that's what I really would like. The message I would like to leave everyone is just start looking at the legacy you're leaving behind, at the interactions that you're having.
Yeah, and that is very important, in a personal sense, but in life, I guess, in business, I'm saying, trying to say, what kind of legacies can a business owner leave to their staff? And which is really important that you do leave one.
Absolutely. My husband and I had a dental office, and we were owners for about 25 years, and we left legacies to several people within our business, certainly our patients. It's funny because years ago I was at a retreat, and they said, what would you write on your tombstone? And at that time I was a young dentist, and I put, she may be gone, but her fillings live on, so you leave it. So dentist, we have teeth that still work. That's one of the legacies. But with the staff and the team, it's how do you get along? How do you manage conflict? How do you work together as a team for a common goal? Because I think that in business, that's where we tend to fall off quite a bit, is that people kind of go their own path. And if you can get the entire business to focus on what your goal is, and in dentistry, the goal is the patient. So what can we do to make that patient care the best possible, the best that patient? What can we do to make that patient care comfortable so the patient's not afraid to come? That's where the goal, getting the entire team to focus on that goal, is one of the best legacies you can leave.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really important to build your team and to make them feel comfortable. But when they leave your organization, they will take those memories with them and foster them perhaps in their new organization. So it is important that that legacy is given. So what ways can someone foster the legacy within their organization?
I think the first one is good conflict management. I was a civil mediator, so I really got involved in that. And I talked to a lot of dentists around the country, even around the world, about conflict management in an office. And the first thing to do is to realize that whenever you're in a conflict, if everybody in the office recognizes that when there's a conflict within the office, you need to focus on the issue and not the people. Because as human beings, we're flawed, we're all flawed, right? So as human beings, we tend to get angry at the person. If there's something going on in the office, we tend to get angry at the person. Let's not get angry at the person. Let's come together as a team, focus on the problem and solve the problem. That's one of the best things you can learn to do as a team. One thing I recommend too is to have peer mediators within the team. And I'm a big fan of mediation because mediation means that you help bring the two sides together so that they both agree on a solution. You're not demanding a solution, you're bringing the two sides together. And within an organization, quite frequently, if there is conflict, it's because the two sides won't directly address it. So to get a peer to come in, usually rather than having the boss come in and mandate a solution, or sometimes if you're in a management position, people are a little nervous around you, but get another peer to come together and say, okay, like in the dental office, it's like, we're here to take care of these patients. We're here to get them through as efficiently as possible with care and kindness so that they feel good. Here's a problem that's interfering with that. What can we do to solve the problem? And many times when there are personality disputes in an office, you'll find with a peer mediator that it's not just the problem that you're talking about. It's kind of issues that kind of relate, they go back with the interpersonal relationship between two people, and trying to remind them that we're here to take care of the patients. You need to put aside the interpersonal issues, focus on the problem, and respect each other. And those interpersonal differences many times will start to go away, because any type of conflict that's not taken care of, that's not managed well, is going to metastasize into something else. So taking care of those conflicts when they're small, and again, as human beings, dentists are particularly guilty of this. We like to focus on our job, taking care of the teeth, and those emotional issues that are going on back there. We don't really want to take care of those, but it's those emotional issues that create the environment of your office. And it's so critical to take care of those emotional issues within the office and manage them well.
Absolutely. And, conflict management really isn't something that's fostered within organizations. And, having a mediator within the organization is always helpful. I did an interview with someone last year about organizational mediation, and he was telling me that it's not really a done thing in organizations, because people either don't know how to do it, or they can't find the right people to be able to do the mediation. So how can people foster the mediation within the organization in a fruitful way?
Sure. One of the things that's critical about the person who's chosen as a mediator is that it has to be a neutral person. If there are, again, as human beings, we like to divide up into little cliques here and there. And if you're part of one clique and not part of another, that doesn't really make a good mediator. So you really need to find a person that everyone respects. We kind of had them in our office. We had two, and we had the team kind of select them. And they were two people in this case, they were older, and they tended to be very level-headed and kind of stay out of some of the cliquey things. And they were very respected. And the wonderful thing for me as the owner, and my husband as the owner of the clinic, was that once we instituted this, we hardly ever had to solve anything, because typically when people are faced with a mediation procedure, they kind of come to their senses. And they also realize that they're going to be responsible for solving the problem. So, which is a wonderful thing in life. It's not just, again, that legacy that you pass on to the next job or the next place you go in life in general. If there's a problem, you can sit there and stew about it and complain about it and get everybody all upset, or you can work to solve it. And having a peer mediator and knowing that if you're gonna complain about a problem, you're gonna have to help solve it, helps to eliminate the problems in your mind, and also helps people become less offendable. So they realize that maybe some personal interactions, things they might take offense at, little things, not big things, of course, you have to take care of those, but sometimes maybe a little comment or body language or something that they might have taken offense at before, they're able to just kind of brush off and not worry about too much. And of course, that again diminishes the conflict within an office.
Yeah, and that's a good legacy to leave, is having that mediation process within your organization that, if you happen to be the mediator within a particular organization, you can take those skills that you've learned and take it to the next one if you happen to move on. And you can also use those skills in your personal life as well. So a lot of people don't know how to mediate. And once they've learned those skills in the workplace, they can often take them outside and use it in their personal life.
Yes, and the skills are really easy. There's a nice little structure where you can really just sit down with the two people, it foster an environment of mutual respect, kind of go over the issue, let each person talk, not take sides. Of course, that again is the key. And then many times you don't have to do very much, because when you start to bring the points out that are being made, they solve it themselves because they can see a solution. It's just that they just need a little help to do that. So it's a simple process, again, with the right person that can be neutral. That's the biggest requirement of a mediator, the ability to be neutral, not to take sides and not to take things personally.
You sort of touched on, some of the things that you can leave as a legacy within an organization. And conflict resolution was one of those, and that got us onto the mediation. Well, what are the other things that business owners can do to, foster that caring and that legacy that, can be passed on from, employee to employee, as the structure from top to bottom?
Sure. One of the things that we try to do, we're in a small town in Minnesota. We're in a small town, and we tried to foster helping the community. So we would, for instance, would find, every once in a while the school would report that a child was not able to get dental care. So we'd take that child in and provide free care. Or we would participate in the community celebrations. We would sponsor people within our office, Cub Scouts or whatever organization it was, we would sponsor things. And I think that community involvement was absolutely essential. We had one woman, we called her our Sunshine Lady, Ginger, our Sunshine Lady. She was an employee for well over 20 years. And she knew everyone in town, and she wasn't very good when computers came in years ago. She just struggled with that. I mean, she worked with it, and she probably made more mistakes in the office than anyone else. But she was the most valuable employee because she fostered that connection with the community. People would come in, she'd read the paper and find out that someone had a 50th wedding anniversary, and she'd send out a card and we'd all sign it. She would welcome people into the clinic with remembering a birthday, remembering something, a big event that happened in their lives. And she was just a critical, the glue that kind of held everyone together and held us together in the community. So I think fostering a spirit of community involvement is one of the legacies that you can leave as a business owner to your team.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, there are the emotional things within an organization too that you can foster along it. Can you touch on some of those?
Oh yes, especially in dentistry. I worked in an environment that was emotionally charged because the patients would come in and they're still a little bit nervous. We do our best to allay those fears, but they come in and many of them have fear. So when they're walking in the door, they're a little bit fearful. So I think that what we try to do is to allay those fears for the patient, and also to understand as an organization that those emotional issues that flare up within the clinic have a devastating effect. And so if you can start to, one of the best ways to help with emotional emergencies, I used to call them, because they would, if you've got two team members that are angry with each other, I'll guarantee you those patients are going to feel that. I mean, those emotions can be transmitted. And I'll tell you what, if you're going to have someone drilling on your teeth, you don't want them angry at anybody. You want to focus on your teeth, right? So it's really critical in our situation. So I think that the conflict management is huge to manage conflict well, to treat people with respect, to understand what happens in a grief situation, because you're in a business, and we had that in our office where our son died, and we had to go back to work. How do you do that? That's really very difficult. So how do you connect and kind of draw a cocoon around someone who has just suffered a devastating loss? That's one of the ways you can really help in employment retention as well, because if they know you care about them, and if they know that as a team, you're going to come together and try to kind of cover for them a little bit as they recover. We used to have a crying room upstairs. So if someone had an emotional emergency, we'd go up there. There was Visine, there was a makeup remover, so you could take the makeup off if you needed to. We had everything you needed. And we had a team that knew if someone had suffered that. And we had the same team for many, many years. And when we had deaths, and illness. We had a sudden death. One of our assistants died, was working on Monday and was gone on Wednesday, just suffered a heart attack and was gone. And what do we do as a team? How do we manage that as a team? And so being there for each other and providing that emotionally stable cocoon is so critical in retaining. I'm not sure how things are in Australia, but here in the US, we're struggling with retaining employees all across the board. And so how do you retain people? You retain them by helping them feel valued and supporting them in their time of need. And that will absolutely increase retention. What it also does by managing emotional emergencies well, by increasing team happiness, you also increase productivity, because then they're working together. Because if people are happy, they're working together so very efficiently. If they're unhappy, they're going to be focused on their unhappiness. So you increase retention, you increase efficiency, you increase in dentistry patient retention, and in business customer retention. So managing those emotional issues is absolutely critical to your team, and also building trust. Number one, trust. You have to build trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kim, you've written an awesome book. I'd really like to touch on that for a little bit and know what people can get from reading it.
Yes, I wrote a book. After my husband passed away, I realized that how difficult it is to survive a death emotionally. And when my husband died, he had been sick for a long time, so I had taken over everything. So we didn't really have to get many affairs in order, because I had basically taken over everything. I knew where everything was. But I'm going to go too sometime. Like I said, 67, like my clock is ticking. I'm going to go too. I've got 2 daughters, 6 grandchildren. What can I do to help them emotionally manage my death? Because it's going to come. And so I really did a lot of research on that. And I wrote a book. It's called Are You Ready? How to Build a Legacy to Die For. And it's available on Amazon. You can also go to my website, drkimberlyharms.com. And you can get it there. But it talks about doing everything you can. First of all, building your legacy, forgiving, reconciling, doing all those things to emotionally strengthen the people you're leaving behind, your loved ones. And then make sure you get your affairs in order. And I'm recommending getting a 3-ring binder, and having all of the information you need. You need to have your password. You need to have all of your bank accounts, your retirement accounts, any account that you have, your insurance, all of that stuff needs to be in one place. And I think even including in little envelopes, titles to your car, your birth certificate, your social security number. I'm not sure what you have in Australia, but all of those numbers, all of the information, I have it listed in the book. The back part of the book is a workbook, all the information you need, so that when I go, my kids, will be able to just take this book. They know exactly where it is. I have it in the safe. They have the combination, and everything they need is going to be there. That's going to be one big help, because then they're not going to have to worry about that. They're not going to have to go through all of your cabinets and search through your house to find your life insurance plan and all that other stuff, which kind of tends to happen because we like to deny death. And then the other thing I really recommend is speak beyond the grave. You can speak beyond the grave by writing them legacy letters, legacy love letters. I'm writing letters to my grandchildren and just in case I'm not there, for when they graduate, when and if they get married, they have a first child. I'm writing letters to be given to them at that time. Now, hopefully I'll still be alive, and then I'll give them the letter anyway and say, hey, I wrote you this letter. Here it is. I'm still here, but this letter is for you. Make those connections. And I think having letters that you write to be given after your death, love letters, don't don't say I was right about this after all, then you're dead. You can't argue about it, right? Just love letters, love reconciliation letters to the people you leave behind, to help them cope with your death, to give them like a soft pillow to land on, because they're going to go through grief, but let's try to minimize it as much as we can. And I think that's one of the best legacies. It's an act of love you leave for your kids, being prepared, getting rid of your stuff. I don't know, again, how it's like in Australia, but here in the US, we baby boomers like to hold on to our stuff. And the sad thing is our kids don't want our stuff. So we got our stuff and nobody wants it. So you got to get rid of the stuff. I've been doing that. It's very painful, I just have to say, but I'm doing that to show my kids how much I love them. I'm doing it now so they don't have to manage all my stuff when I go. They have their own lives to lead. They don't have to give up their life for a year to take care of, to take care of the mess I leave behind. I'm going to leave a little mess. There'll be probably a little mess. I got a little place, but leave a little mess, not a big mess for them to clean up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when you plan for, leaving this earth, it does make it easier for the ones that you're leaving behind. And, if you can do your bit leading up to that event, I think, it does help with the grieving process, because they don't have to, worry about that, stuff isn't taken care of. And once someone's grieving, you're right, they don't want to be going through all your drawers and things and your paperwork to find the documents that they need to get your death certificate fixed up or your funeral fixed up, or if you're on government benefit, get that cut off and do whatever they need to do. So it is a great plan to have all those documents in one place. I've done that with my things as well. They know where to get in touch with my passwords and where all my insurance papers are and all that sort of stuff. So I've planned ahead as well, because you just never know, you could get run over a bus tomorrow and they're all left in limbo, because they don't know where everything is. So it is great to have that folder or that particular drawer in your house or book or whatever it happens to be. So that's a really great tip, Kim. And I think more people, if you're right, they don't plan to leave loved ones behind, but it happens to us because we do drop off the planet.
Yeah. I just talked with a man who had lost his wife, and she'd been sick for probably maybe just about 6 weeks or so before she passed away. And she owned a lot of property, and there was a lot of things to take care of. And he told me, well, we didn't want to talk about it before she died because we didn't want to admit she was going to die. And I felt so sad, because I'm sure she wanted them to be taken care of. And it's going to take them years to get this all straightened out. And the money that's in there is probably going to go to the lawyers, because they're going to have to get all that stuff worked out. And if they had just had the courage to talk about it before she died, but really even better, before she got sick, because that discussion is so different when you talk to your kids about what's going to happen when you die, is a very different discussion. If you're not sick, if you're not planning on going anytime soon, it's a different discussion. And wouldn't it be nice if you were diagnosed with a terminal illness, not to have to worry about that stuff, because you're feeling bad enough as it is, to go out and live your life for however long you have. Don't worry about all this stuff, because you got it all together. So it really just makes sense. And I think the problem is we are procrastinators, and I'm number one on that list. In fact, I had to write the book to do this. I realized that if I was going to do it, I better just write a book, because now by writing the book, I had to do it or I'd be a big hypocrite, right? So I did it because I had to write a book. But I'm also recommending you get together, for instance, in a business. Get your business together. I'm meeting with members of my church in a couple of weeks, and we're bringing the binders, and we're having people sign their advanced care directive, because fortunately, when my husband died, he was in hospice. And thank God he had written exactly what he wanted. He said, I do not want to go to the hospital. I want to die at home. And that way there's no discussion afterwards. There's no second guessing, because I know of families that are torn apart because one part of the family wanted to bring that person into hospice. The other part of the family wanted to do everything possible, put them on a ventilator. And those two decisions are good. They're legitimate, but wouldn't it be better for the patient to make it? Wouldn't it be better for the person to make it, and then prevent all of the discussion and the discord in your family? Because for me, I've got 2 daughters, and one of my biggest legacies is that they love each other and care for each other. I don't want them fighting after I die. In fact, when we wrote our will, they're both attorneys. We wrote our will. Jim was still alive, and we sent the will to them, and we said, okay, before we sign it, this is our will. Take a look at it. And if you don't like something, discuss it now, because we're going to sign it, and you just have to forever hold your peace because we've given you that chance. Well, it's unlikely there's going to be any problems after I go, because they've already agreed to what was in there. So that's a critical piece.
Absolutely, yeah, and in business as well, make sure that your wishes are known. If the company happens to fold, or you pass on, so that your employees, your staff members, your family, they all know what your wishes are. Should you pass on, or when you pass on, or if the business happens to fold, what do you want to see happen? And I think that's another critical thing that people don't realize, that, your business is affected with, you're retiring even, you've got to make your wishes known to your family if something happens.
Yes. My daughter and I work in a company that specializes in dentistry. She's a dental attorney, but specializes in transitions, where one dentist is transitioning some of their practice to another. And it's really important when you have a business to have a plan like this for your business. What happens if you were to suddenly die with your business? Because and dentistry is one of them, and many businesses are like that. 6 months after you die, if there's no activity in that business, people tend to go elsewhere. So the value of your business gets lost. So it's absolutely critical in a business to plan for the future and what happens if something happens to you.
Absolutely. Now, can we touch on the book again, a little bit, the title and where people can find it?
Yes, it's Are You Ready? How to Build a Legacy to Die For. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can get it online. And I've made it really inexpensive now. It's 99 cents for a Kindle copy, because I want people to get this in their hands. I just want people to have the information. So it's very inexpensive. Also, there's a link on my website, drkimberlyharms.com, HARMS, and you can get a copy of it. Just press a button on the website and it'll go straight to Amazon. So you can get that, and you can get that in Australia as well. So again, the Kindle copy is 99 cents, because I just want people to have this information.
Wonderful, Kim. Thank you so much for sharing with us, why and how we should be leaving a legacy for our business and for our family and friends. And it is really important that we do that. And it's never too late to start. So start today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks so much.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.